sweating. You've never seen Good evening. Welcome to Nassau County Board of County Commissioners meeting, 5 p.m. Monday, May 12th. Please rise, join me for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Heavenly Father, as we gather to serve the people of Nassau County, we ask for your wisdom and discernment in the decisions we make. Guide our discussions with compassion and fairness. Grant us the strength to work together as a team for the common good. Allow our deliberations to reflect your will and bring only positive change for our community. We also ask that you provide extra protection over our military first responder personnel who confront evil and danger to keep your peace and light in the world. In Jesus' name I humbly pray.
Amen.
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 Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McCullough.
Here.
Commissioner Gray.
Here.
Commissioner Farmer.
Here.
Commissioner Martin.
Here.
Chair Hubman.
Here. County Manager, any expansions or deletions to the agenda this evening?
None tonight, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. County Attorney?
I have no further, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Proclamations and resolutions, tab A. Approve a proclamation declaring the week of May 11th through May 17, 2025 as National Law Enforcement and May 15, 2025 as Peace Officers Memorial Day, Nassau County, Florida. I'll entertain a motion on tab A.
So moved, Mr. Chairman. Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Farmer. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Commissioner Farmer, if you would please present that. I'd like to invite our law enforcement personnel to please come up to be recognized. Sheriff,
Undersheriff.
there he is.
It's on the side. It's on the side,
And the city of
around
Fernandina.
the side.
There you go. Got it.
Let me find Captain Bishop.
This is not.
We're doing, gentlemen? Doing good. Jim. How you doing? All right, I don't know if we can hold you guys all up here, but hey, fit in, act like you love one another. Oh, there's no right for the city.
Yeah, there's some.
Two reps from who, I'm sorry? City of Fernandina, okay. Gotcha. Okay, sounds good.
He's right there, Clint.
All right,
Right there.
okay, cool. All right, welcome you all this evening. It's a proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners in Nassau County, Florida, National Police Week, May 11th through May 17th, 2025, and Peace Officers Memorial Day, May 15th, 2025. Whereas May 15th was designated by presidential proclamation in 1962 by President John F. Kennedy as Peace Officer Memorial Day, and the week on which it falls as National Police Week. This was designated to honor those officers, federal, state, and local, who have been killed or disabled in the line of duty. And whereas National Police Week has become widely recognized throughout the United States of America as a new way for citizenry to pay tribute and express their gratitude to those who serve and those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. And whereas there are more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Nassau County Sheriff's Office and City of Fernandina Beach Police Department, and whereas since the first recorded death in 1786, there are currently more than 24,000 law enforcement officers in the United States who have made the ultimate sacrifice and have been killed in the line of duty, including 13 law enforcement officers from Nassau County, 8 from the Nassau County Sheriff's Office, 1 from the City of Fernandina Beach Police Department, 1 Florida Highway Patrol officer, 2 from the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services Law Enforcement, and 1 Hilliard Constable. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, and sacrifices members of our local law enforcement make for our community, and to credit them for efforts in safeguarding life and property and protecting us against violence and disorder. Now therefore be it proclaimed this 12th day of May, 2025, by the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, that one, the board hereby proclaims the week of May 11th through May the 17th, 2025 as National Police Week in Nassau County, Florida, and May 15th, 2025 as Peace Officer Memorial Day. Number two, the board acknowledges and commends all law enforcement personnel for their service and dedication to Nassau County and its residents. Number three, the board encourages all residents to thank a law enforcement officer today for their service and dedication to our community. Signed by A.M. Hupman, the chairman, and approved by the Nassau County Attorney Denise May. And Sheriff Leeper. Try to hide behind the podium. I'm in the heavyweight division, you know. So, go ahead, Sheriff.
Good evening. Thank you, Commissioners, for the proclamation recognizing the men who have died in the line of duty, protecting the citizens of Nassau County, and also recognizing the men and women who serve every day to protect all of us. While we're at home, while we're at work, we just confident to know there's somebody out there that's committed wholeheartedly to making sure our community is as safe as possible. And without these men and women, our community would not be as safe. And the more we grow, and nobody can deny we're not growing, it's going to tax our services more and more, not only police, but fire as well. So it's important that we have a safe community, because that's where people want to move to. That's where businesses want to relocate to. So we certainly appreciate your support. And I just want to thank all these people. And I will say it might be a good time to rob a bank right now. But rest assured, we do have other people out there that will get after them. So thank you. It's an honor for me to serve as sheriff of this county. And I'm just blessed to be able to work with these individuals. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate each and every one of you.
You can go that way if you want.
Yeah,
You don't want to stay.
Just follow Clemens, he knows the way.
Don't want to stay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank y'all.
Is it going to be just
No, it's not many firefighters. I think that's all of them right there.
All right, moving on. Tab B, approve a proclamation declaring the week of May 18th to May 24th, 2025, National Emergency Medical Services Week in Nassau County. I'll
Chairman, I
entertain a motion on tab B.
Chairman, I move to approve tab B.
second?
I have a motion from Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner McCullough. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Commissioner Martin, if you would please present tonight's tab B.
Chief, right in with you and your department, please join me at the podium. Okay, proclamation of the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, National Emergency Medical Services Week, May 18th through May 24th, 2025. Whereas emergency medical services are a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas emergency medical services has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventive medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the emergency medical service system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas this year's theme is EMS, We Care for Everyone, it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed this 12th day of May, 2025, by the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, that the board hereby proclaims the week of May 18th through May 24th, 2025, as Emergency Medical Services Week in Nassau County, Florida. The board commends all emergency medical services workers and extends their gratitude to them for protecting the citizens of Nassau County, Florida. And it is signed by our chairman, Hup Pupman, for the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, and it's attested to by our county attorney, Denise May.
Hey, John, I'm sorry, the city's here as well. Two proclamations.
Okay, I do apologize.
Yep.
I was looking for the new chief.
Where'd you go?
Who's the rank?
I thought of some, I'm sorry. I apologize. My apologies, okay, I thought he was here. I'm sorry.
It's hard with him being so tall. Chief, would you like to say a few words?
I'd just like to say thank you to the board for this proclamation. EMS is about 85% of what we do, day in, day out, whether it's heart attacks, breathing problems, strokes, car accidents, any kind of medical emergency. People call 911, and the men and women behind me show up to take care of the problem the best they can. Some of the finest people in the EMS profession are standing behind me right now, and they're just a fraction of the 170-plus people that we have out in the field every day, day in, day out, that are protecting the citizens that you represent. So you can be very proud to know that you got some of the best working for you. Thank you for this proclamation.
Thanks, Chief. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Thank you. Okay. Let's do that. Because of the first hearing tonight, so. Folks in the gallery, we have a slight issue with our live streaming of the meeting. I'm going to give the IT department, we're going to take a 5-minute recess, let them reboot so that folks that are trying to watch this public meeting, especially the first hearings, the legislative portions that are coming up, I'd like the public to be able to view those if they did not come to chambers. We're going to take a brief recess, they're going to reboot, and we'll come back and re-adjourn in just a moment. Thanks, folks. We're going to reconvene. They had managed to solve the problem, and we are now live streaming for the remainder of the meeting. Consent items. If any board member wishes to move a consent item to new business. Okay, thank you. If any board member wishes to move a consent item to new business, please do so now. Any member of the public want to speak on a consent item? I do not have any speaker cards for consent items. All the speaker cards I have are post-consent.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Martin.
I would like to move tabs F and J from the consent agenda to new business.
Thank you. Motion from Commissioner Martin to move tab F and J. Any additional motions there?
Those are the two I had circled, so I'll
You
second
took
that.
care of the one I had. so-
Okay, so I have a motion from Commissioner Martin,
Second.
second from Commissioner Farmer. All in favor to move items F and J to new business?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, F and J are now under new business. Given that, I'll entertain a motion for consent items tab C, D, E, G, H, I, K, L, and M.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
A motion from Commissioner Gray and a second by Commissioner McCullough. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Consent items pass. New business, tab F. Approve and authorize the chairman to sign work authorization number 5 to contract number CM 3359 with Hubbard Construction Company for the 2025 pavement management plan in an amount not to exceed $5,183,116.20.
And Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Martin, move this item.
Well, did you want to say something? Yes, I move this because it's a big ticket item. It's $5 million. It needs to be talked about so the public knows what we're doing. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. What's before you tonight in tab F is your annual pavement management plan funding allocation for the project. It is within the budget that was proposed for the pavement management plan. Since its inception 3 years ago, you've resurfaced over 60 miles of roadways within Nassau County. And this year, this will accomplish another 18. The biggest, of course, is River Road, west of Callahan, which is on that list this year. So we're looking forward to it. I'm here to answer any questions you have, but again, that's a part of your pavement management plan, maintaining the roadways within Nassau County. And in the past, this will get us up to 78 miles with this approval that have been resurfaced in the last 4 cycles.
Thank you. Any additional questions from Mr. Companion?
Question.
Mr. Farmer?
I'd just like to say that this never, like I say all the time, it never got the news coverage that it really deserved. I get asked all the time at fact conferences how we did this, how we came upon this, what tools we used to accomplish this, and I stand very proud of this group of individuals for having the foresight to become proactive, to begin to offer maintenance to a lot of areas that hadn't seen maintenance for decades. And I just want to thank Mr. Companion, the Road and Bridge Department, and this board and staff for their hard work and dedication to this program.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion on tab F.
A motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Farmer, second by Commissioner Commissioner Martin. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0, Madam Clerk. Tab J, approve to submit electronically a hazard mitigation grant program application in the amount of $244,729.61 for the Thomas Creek Land Acquisition Project with a local match of 25%, which is $81,576.54. KDP from our storm department. Thank you, Katie.
Absolutely. Do you have questions?
Well, I just want to say, not only was this it's not as big ticket of an item, and if it was, it was, the reason I moved tab J to new business was for you to brag about the work that's being done in the Thomas Creek area and to elaborate for the public on what this money is going to be used for, and the fact that it's only a 25% match. I mean, this is good news, so I just felt it needed to be put out there.
Absolutely. So our Thomas Creek implementation plan was approved by you guys in '23, and so we have been actively applying for grants. and we have one awarded. We've closed on 3 homes. We're about to close on the 4th, and we have applied for 3 other grants that have the 25% match, and we're awaiting award on those.
And we've been successful in this in the past, right?
Yes, so we do have one award right now, and looking forward to the other ones coming through.
So I know my colleagues on the west side get more calls about this than I do, but and they may want to chime in on this, but I just think you do a great job. And this is life-changing for folks that have been living in the Thomas Creek Basin for so long. Thank you.
That's why I circled it to Mr. Martin for Jay, because those constituents literally are my neighbors, and so when they call me and they're always questioning, and I think, I'm grateful, Ms. Katie and Mr. Companion, that you are forever answering my questions, because I would say that's definitely one that I'm always emailing and calling about, because they want to know what is our next step, and our staff is always so quick to immediately have the answers, all of the evidence and support that we need, and I'm so grateful for their continued efforts to helping with this resiliency program, so thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, I'll entertain a motion on tab J.
So moved.
Motion from Commissioner McCullough.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Farmer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Tab J passes 5-0, Madam Clerk. New business, correction. Tab N, approved finance package 2025-19.
That is new business.
Oh, correct. New business. Any member of the public may address any item under new business at this time. Time limit is 3 minutes each. Is there anyone who wishes to address an item under new business? I do not have a speaker card for tab N. For tab N, which is finance package. Sir?
I did submit a card
For tab N?
I'm sorry, for P.
Okay, all right. We will get there in just a moment, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, a motion to approve tab N.
Second that motion.
A motion from Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner McCullough. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Tab N passes. 5-0. Legislative public hearings. Madam Attorney,
Thank you, sir.
and resolutions.
Tab O through R are legislative hearings. Procedures are in place to give all who wish to speak for or against an item the opportunity to do so. Those wishing to speak in favor of or against an item being considered will have 3 minutes to address the board. All statements should be addressed to the board and address only the item under consideration. Speakers should not engage in personal attacks on other speakers, staff, or board members. Speakers must begin by stating their name and address for the record. Please do not repeat or restate the same information as previous speakers. Sharing or transferring of time is not allowed. The clerk will control the time allocated. Again, that is 3 minutes. Any speaker that has documents as a part of their presentation must present them to the deputy clerk. They do become part of the permanent record. This meeting is being recorded, so please no applause or outbursts or talking, as it does distort the recording. The board will then close the public hearing and discuss the item under consideration. They may ask questions of speakers or staff. They will then deliberate and vote on the item before them. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Madam Attorney. Tabs O through R, legislative hearing. Tab O, approved finance package 2025-18. I will open the floor for public discussion on tab O. Staff presentation discussion, Mr. Iron.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a follow-up to the item N, which was just approved, this really is the conclusion of the winter strategic planning session that we had in March, along with the April workshop. This basically sets forth the transfers and the budget adjustments to implement many great things from those cash carry forward allocations. Some of the items in here are moving forward with the West Side Government Campus, the drainage projects, the $750,000 in that, adjustments for County Road 121 improvements. I don't know if the supervisor of election is still in the audience, but she was here. There's $630,000 allocation so that they can update the election software well in advance of the next election, and a couple of other actions just following through those prior workshops and winter strategic planning session.
Thank you, Mr. Ironman. I have no public speaker cards on tab O. Any questions for Mr. Ironman? Nope. I'm going to close the floor to public comment on tab O. Board deliberations, or I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Martin.
Based on the review of the applicable testimony and evidence provided, my motion is to approve the finance package and associated resolutions under tab O.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Martin and a second by Commissioner Farmer, and we will do voice vote. Call the roll, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner McCullough,
Yes.
Commissioner Farmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Gray,
Yes.
Commissioner Martin,
Yes.
Chair Huffman,
Yes.
and that's 5 ayes, 0 nays. The motion passes.
Tab P, consider a resolution closing, vacating, and abandoning a portion of right-of-way at Riverside Drive, Fernandina Beach. Application filed by the Commercial Range at Amelia LLC applicant and Jack Heelan agent. I will open the floor to public comment on tab P. The speaker card, Mr. Bill Lacey, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, sir?
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Do you want the presentation first, or?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Lacey, if we could, we'll do the presentation first, and then I'll have you speak that way if the presentation addresses things that you're going to reference. We'll do that. I'm sorry. Mr. Hurst, I apologize for going out of order. Mr. Lacey, I apologize to you.
Good evening, Caleb Hurst, Film Services Director. So we did receive a request for an abandonment of Riverside Drive. The request was from the Commercial Range at Amelia LLC. The agent was Jack Heelan. This request is for the unopened portion. It is unimproved, and it is adjacent to, or it is at the end of the existing Riverside Drive, and I'm pulling that up now so you can see as well. So it's at the very end of Riverside Drive. It's the unopened portion, like I said. The departments were notified, the DRC departments were notified of this for comments. There was no objections for those departments. We also notified the surrounding utilities in the area as well. We had no objections from the utilities. And the adjacent property is within the city limits, so we did notify the city, and they had no objections to the request. Since both properties on each side are owned by the same owner, the Commercial Range at Amelia LLC, the abandonment property would go to that one owner in this case, instead of split between the two owners. And I'm here for any questions you may have.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Martin.
Through the chair, Mr. Hurst, you answered one part of my question, like, if we abandon it, who owns it? So now what can be done with that property? Is it zoned a certain way, or are there a lot of options that the owner now can use that property for?
The property would go back to the underlying land use, or the adjacent zoning should go back to that. So land use and zoning for the adjacent property. And then, so they would be allowed to do what is zoned for that. I did not research the zoning specifically of what allowable uses there are, but they would be allowed to utilize it for those allowable uses.
And then, again, through the chair, and whatever they did decide to do, if they decide to do anything with it, would have to go through our processes to make that happen.
A portion of the property that they own is within the city limits. The other portion of the property is within the county. So if they decided to develop the portion within the county, that would come through for development review, unless they went through annexation. But otherwise, it would go through our department for development review.
And the reason I ask is that's not a consideration for this board tonight on what they may or may not do with that property. That's not really a point.
I have not received any applications for this. To my knowledge, there's been no submitted applications to the county. So we're not aware of anything being proposed on this at this time from an application standpoint. And then, so no, this abandonment is not tied to any applications.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Lacey, thanks for your patience, sir. If you would state your name and address for the record, please.
William D. Lizey, 3045 Riverside Drive.
Yes, sir, thank you.
My wife and I own that property with a home, and she would be here with me tonight, but she's up in Winston-Salem celebrating her mother's 99th birthday, in which I would be there too, except this meeting is that important to us. We purchased the lot we built on in 2006. At the time, prior to purchase, I noticed Riverside Drive wasn't complete as of yet. So I did my homework and found that it will be extended a few hundred feet, and the marsh property would be broken up into the same zoning like our property, R1. The whole neighborhood we live in is R1. So is this property. And I have a copy right here of it, R1. Well, we built a house in '07, moved in '08. Since then, the road still hasn't been extended. However, all the lots in our little neighborhood have been sold and built upon. So we figured one day someone would finish the road and sell more marshfront lots. Until I got this notice in the mail from you guys. So I did some more research, found out these developers plan on building a hotel on the marsh there. Zoned R1, a hotel. A hotel right in our neighborhood, right in our backyards, our side yards. If we thought that was ever going to happen, we would never purchased property in this neighborhood. I don't think any of us that purchased property would have purchased if we know a hotel was going to be put there. So I'm here to ask you guys to vote no on the abandonment. And when it comes up, vote no to changing the zoning. And if need be, vote no to annexing it over to the city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kevin Allen?
Oh, right here.
He's asking for the map to be pulled up. It's pulled up on the screen. He just needs to.
Oh, awesome, thank you. Hi, good evening, Kevin Allen, 3009 Riverside Drive. I had the pleasure of speaking with Commissioner Hubman about this. I appreciate you returning my call and
Yes,
taking
sir.
time out with me. So let me just real quickly restate my understanding, make sure that, that this is accurate. So my understanding is, obviously, there's some property that's still in the county, but the bulk of this is in the city. And I think it's pretty clear should be clear to everyone, the plans for that property. It's been well documented, including a hotel and some single-family homes and so forth. I mean, it's essentially the access to Crane Island that we're talking about. I really have two issues. The first is to ensure that.
Sir,
Sorry, I know I'm not in front of the mic.
I'm going
Let me
to,
just
it
point-
won't be recorded unless you are,
I
so.
understand. Let me just point here real quick and I'll come back. My concern is that if we're going to abandon that property, the easement, that it is in fact abandoned and there's zero access from Riverside Drive from this point forward. So I would like to hear some discussion on that. And hopefully that's clear what I mean by that, right? So the dead end of Riverside Drive is a dead end. I want to make certain that if it is abandoned, that it can no longer be used to access the property, that it'll be accessed from the road to Crane Island. Currently, that's being used as a staging area, and there's people parked there pretty much every day, right in front of a home whose driveway is right across from it. The second thing is, if that is abandoned, I'm also concerned about maintaining the existing tree canopy for a buffer, and that is not allowed to be removed. Again, city property, but county property is what we talked about here. So those are my 2 points. Hopefully that makes sense.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Board questions for a staff member of the audience? Anywhere in the audience? Commissioner Martin?
Yeah, through the chair, Mr. Hurst. I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, but how much of this road that we're going to abandon belongs to the county, which is what our decision is going to be on tonight?
So,
And whatever that is, could you address what you think would be the possibility of what these folks that live there think could possibly happen with regard to a hotel on that area that would be abandoning?
yes, sir, I'll try to address that for you. So the 30-foot section is all that we're looking at tonight. So it's a 30-foot section as shown here, so the point of beginning to the end. That is all that we're talking about for the abandonment. So that is shown on a old plat that references back to the county, which is why it's being requested to be abandoned. I will note that based on some of the concerns that were brought up by the previous speaker, Riverside Drive, as it currently is privately maintained, so it is not maintained by the county. So the development that, if a development is proposed, if it comes through the county, it is required to connect to a county-maintained or state-maintained road. So if that development were to come through the county development side, we would not allow that to be connected into that internal residential subdivision because it is privately maintained.
So would that, I'm not trying to put you in the homeowner's shoes, but would that satisfy the dead end issue on that?
So the Riverside Drive would still dead end. It would not connect anymore once this is abandoned. But I think it would address the concern they had about traffic coming in through their streets, I believe was the concern. The traffic using Riverside Drive and connecting in that way. The county would not allow a subdivision to connect into that road if it came through development review through the county.
So, I apologize if I'm beating a dead horse, but, so in essence, you're pretty much saying that would prevent any use of that 30-foot part of that road to encumber the folks that just spoke?
30-foot part of the road could be used for development. It could be used for roadways. It could be used for anything at that point. So it could be used for, if they came through development and went to develop that parcel, once it's abandoned, they could use it for roads for their future development, could use it for stormwater, could use it for, because it would then just be land, it would no longer be right-of-way. So they could use it for lots, they could use it for development. It would not have any type of impacts for access related to the original, to the existing Riverside.
Last question.
Yes, sir.
But there's not enough land there, and what we are making a decision on, there's not enough land there, correct me if I'm wrong, to put a hotel there, or a resort on that piece of land.
It is 0.34 acres, so that specific portion would not be enough to develop in itself.
Thank you.
To the chair. Just
Mr. Pope.
Just one point of clarification is, it's very likely this does not go through the Board of County Commissioners Development Review when it comes through, because it'll be connected to public water and sewer through the city of Fernandina Beach, and so I just want to caution that it will not be your reviewers who will be reviewing this. This will more than likely be a city of Fernandina Beach project.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Hurst? Seeing none. Okay, we're going to close the floor to public comment. Board deliberation, or I'll entertain a motion on tab P. No deliberation. Waiting on a motion on tab P.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion. Considering a resolution, tab P, closing, vacating, and abandoning a portion of the right-of-way at Riverside Drive, Fernandina Beach, application followed by the Commercial Range at Amelia LLC, the applicant, and Jack Halen, the agent. And I'm going to go with, based on the review of the application, testament, and evidence provided, my motion is to approve the resolution, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion from Commissioner McCullough.
Second.
And a second from Commissioner Farmer. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Farmer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gray?
Yes.
Commissioner McCullough?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
No.
Chair Hupman?
No.
It's 3 ayes, 2 nays. The motion passes.
Tab Q, consider CPA 24-003, an ordinance of the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, amending the 2030 County Comprehensive Plan, providing for the reclassification of 55.46 acres of real property located on the south side of Clyde Higginbotham Road, north of the Duval County line, from medium-density residential MRD to Transect 2.5 T-2.5, the reclassification of 5.19 acres of real property located on the south side of Clyde Higginbotham Road, north of the Duval County line, from medium-density residential to Transect 1 T-1, providing for findings, providing for severability, providing for an effective date in District 3 for adoption. I'll open the floor to public discussion for tab Q. Staff presentation.
Good evening, Commissioners. Elizabeth back with the Planning Department. So I'm back before you tonight. This was an item that was transmitted following the Board of County Commissioners meeting on March 24th. Tonight, you'll be considering this for adoption. It's a future land use map amendment for about 60.65 acres from medium-density residential to Transect 1 for 5.19 of the wetland acres and Transect 2.5 for 55.46 acres. The owner applicant is WRC Cook Yulee, and the agent is Greg Matavina. This is in Commission District 3. So to orient you, I know you had heard this previously for the transmittal, but this property is located here west of US 17. This is on the far southern portion of the William Burgess District, south of State Road 200, and just north of the Duval County line. Just to orient you in terms of the entire William Burgess District overlay is this red parcel here in the southeast corner adjacent to the railroad tracks. The zoning is proposed to change from OR, or open rural, to Transect 1, T1, and Transect 2.5. The future land use, which this item considers, is to move from MDR, or medium density residential, to the T1 and T2.5. And again, this is the William Burgess District, the future regulating map. It shows this T1 natural area in green, and the yellow shows the T2.5 rural transitional zone, just to show that this request is consistent with the vision for the William Burgess District. And I'm not going to read all of this. You do have this in your staff report. I will just skip ahead we find this consistent with the comprehensive plan. And we do find the amendment is consistent with the comprehensive plan for policies FL.01.04A through G. The adopted criteria for approval, items A through G, are met. Based on these findings, staff does recommend approval of application CPA 24-003. I will note the Planning and Zoning Board heard this item on March 4th and did recommend approval. It was transmitted to the state and reviewing agencies, and we did hear back. The state has no comments on their letter dated April 23rd of 2025. And as I mentioned, tonight you are to consider adoption of this application. And I'm available if you have any questions.
Thank you. I have no public speaker cards. Is there anyone here to speak on tab Q? Seeing none. Board questions for the staff? I'm going to close the floor to public comment. Board deliberations or a motion on tab Q?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Gray.
I'd like to make a motion, please. Based on the record, evidence, and testimony received, I find that there is competent and substantial evidence pursuant to policy FL.01.02I and policy FL.0104A through G of the Nassau County Comprehensive Plan, and therefore my motion is to approve CPA 24-003.
Second.
A motion for Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Farmer. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Commissioner Farmer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gray?
Yes.
Commissioner McCullough,
Yes.
and Chair Huffman.
Yes.
It's 5 ayes, 0 nays.
Tab Q passes. Thank you. Tab R, consider CPA 25-001, an ordinance of the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, amending the 2030 Nassau County Comprehensive Plan, amending the future land use element, adopting the future land use map series, Flumes map Flumes-11, adopting the Timber Tides Design Overlay Transects, adopting the Timber Tides Design Overlay T2TDO, providing for findings, providing for severability, providing for an effective date, transmittal. I will open the floor on tab R. Staff presentation, Mr. Macbeth.
Thank you, Honorable Commissioners. This is tab R, it's CPA 25-001, proposes to adopt the future land use map series, map Flume 11, which serves as the regulating plan for the Timber Tides Design Overlay, incorporates the Timber Tides Design Overlay transects into the future land use element of the Nassau County Comprehensive Plan, establishes the policy framework necessary to implement the Timber Tides Design Overlay through zoning and land use regulations. So before you is CPA 25001 is a future land use map. It is a FL0102J and FL0206. And so what that looks like, you have a regulating map, which is Flume Map 11. Real quick, between PZB and BOCC, we received feedback from owners. So there's been 3 parcel revisions on this map per the request of these owners. One was changed to Transect 7.3, and 2, we're looking for adjustments on the T1 natural area, which staff fully supported. And so the 2 amendments, you have FL102J, so this establishes your densities and your ability to assign the overlay transects. And then you have FL0206, which is the Timber Tides policy. In terms of schedule, this has been over 5 years, starting back in 2019 with your initial roundtable discussions on January 24th. A robust outreach engagement process began. Over 400 participants, just from surveys alone, 322 surveys. This was all addressing the SR 200A1A Corridor Master Plan. From these responses, these discussions, it was looking at SR 200 from a new perspective, in the sense that 82% of these respondents said it's congested, it's full, construction ugliness. They were frustrated with the corridor. 76% use it as daily travel, shopping, working, visiting friends. 74% questioned the safety, inadequate sidewalks, and lack of bicycle paths. 65% were concerned with the need for trees, parks, or amenities. And through this collection, 2019 to 2021, working with GII consultants and staff, we set up a series of planning priorities in that 200 master plan. And then we also had Francis Marino from Fem by Design evaluate our LDC and comprehensive plan for the consideration of a form-based code that led to the December 2021 resolution, in which the Board of County Commissioners directed or passed by resolution the master plan, set forth the policies, and directed county manager to pursue the Timber Tides Design Overlay in this form-based code, which is presented before you. So the drafting of the code began in December. You had an update meeting on 2022. And staff has been working through just consolidating information, creating graphics to make the process more streamlined, and just ensuring that the draft that we put out there would be efficient and something that we could use. That draft was released in July 2024, and then that started an 8-month process where we did a series of open houses, workshops. You have approximately 10 stakeholder and community sessions, 2 board workshops, and a series of pop-up events that led to the drafts. And from the draft review, we edited it and brought forward the final draft on April 15th to the Planning and Zoning Board. Right now, we're at that second bullet, which is May 12th. So today is a first reading of the LDC and consideration for transmittal of the comp plan changes, and then it would be heard again on June 23rd. In terms of growth, we recognize that the county is growing at a rapid rate, over 190,000 people projected by 2050. We also recognize where that growth is happening all along the SR 200 corridor, mainly around the SR 200 corridor. So this is a map depicting 2017 to 2023 population growth. You can see in those orange rings where the population is growing right in the heart of Nassau County, which is where this overlay is located. In terms of population, we're currently about 104,000 people. Regardless of what we do today, there's over 30,500 total unbuilt entitled units, which represents an extraordinary amount of people and growth coming to this county. And in response to that, the SR 200 master plan really focused on a series of policies, and one of which is to establish a form-based code. So if you go to our website, you can find a copy of that master plan and the resolution that depicts these policies and the 5 planning priorities, which are nurture nature, grow sustainably, connect communities, catalyze culture, and future-proof. The idea is, how do we convert strips to centers? How do we create compact density, mixed-use environments, and promote pedestrian-first design? In terms of code, we recognize that our current code from 1974, Euclidean zoning, is outdated. It typically projects this top image because we're not dealing with how the pedestrian navigates this environment. We're not dealing with how the parking operates. As you move down, you get to what a form-based code establishes, which is moving those buildings closer to the road. It's engaging pedestrians. It's establishing a series of hardscape conditions, landscaping conditions that promote a healthier and higher quality of life. In terms of private property rights, we also provide this on our website, but nassaucountyfl.com/1397 or 1397. There's a sheet on there that provides frequently asked questions, but the main ones we get a lot. So the overlay would apply only to new development, redevelopment, and changes of use within the designated area. Existing properties may continue their current use. No changes are required unless redevelopment or zoning changes proposed by the owner. Homeowners would not be required to change anything. Standard maintenance, repairs, accessory structures, new single-family homes, and mobile homes on existing lots are not subject to the overlay unless a rezoning or major redevelopment is proposed. And the overlay does not automatically rezone any properties. Rezoning would only occur if initiated by the property owner. And so there's more FAQs that we've provided on our website. We've also engaged consultants to do an evaluation of our corridor, in which they've elected to look at Maitland and Fern Park, Ocoee and Westgate Terraces, which are side-by-side communities. And each one provides an overlay condition and the other does not have an overlay. And so just looking at Fern Park and Maitland side by side, Fern Park does not have that overlay condition, Maitland does. So you have a struggling downtown, you have decaying urban infrastructure in Fern Park. In terms of development, one with the higher development standards and one without, it was relatively consistent. You didn't see a change in impact of development. You did see overall higher compound annual growth rates, but overall, looking at Maitland Park versus Fern Park, the quality of life is significantly different as you're looking at a series of different urban conditions that were required in Maitland versus Fern Park. All that's been provided as attachments, but you can see your typical strip commercial versus building up a compact density into a more centered town center, and then what those values produce. Overall, in those 15-year evaluation periods through those two corridors, it was generally modest growth. Those higher standards exhibited slightly higher compound annual growth rates, but it's expected to provide boost to long-term employment, wage-related economic growth, market performance, and property values between 15 to 25-year periods. Stronger standards do not appear to hinder development, and higher standard corridors demonstrated stronger outcomes related to design cohesion, place-based identity, and overall community character. Heading into our consistency analysis, it is consistent with Florida statutes. It's also consistent with, aligns with our Vision 2032 plan, supports the goals of the future land use element, including the promotion of compact development patterns, establishes a regulating plan through Flume Map 11, and is compatible with existing LDC provisions. In conclusion, this amendment is conforming with Florida statutes, goals, objectives, and policies of the comprehensive plan. It does not conflict with the LDC, Code of Ordinances, and the other county regulatory documents. Based on these findings, staff recommends approval of CPA 25-001, adopting the future land use map series, Flume Map 11, adopting the timber to tides design overlay transects, and adopting the timber to tides design overlay. The PZB voted to recommend approval with a 5-0 vote on April 15th. And staff's available for any questions.
Thank you. Public speakers, Ms. Glenda Simmons Jenkins.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Glenda Simmons Jenkins, 96091 LS Morrison Drive. Just a few questions. I've heard that staff said there've been some revisions, and I wanted to know if those revisions were made after the last planning board meeting. Also, the application process and the exemptions, Section J, I think it is. I'm wondering if those exemptions, if that process was made publicly known to everyone, if there was a process whereby those of us who attended the meetings, I know there have been a lot of meetings, I wasn't at all of them, but I never heard anything about being able to exempt from the process. So was there an application? Was there something made available to members of the public so that they could know, I can revise my parcel, I can become exempt from the timber to tides process? I'm also wondering if that exemption process was publicly, is it a part of the public record? So if someone said, we want to exempt, can we see those records and know what the negotiation process was? Also, in the exemption area of timber to tides, it says that exemptions must align with the PUD, and I'm wondering if that decision was something that was made at the local level or the state level. Is there anything in ordinance that says that the exemptions must align with the PUD? Also, we heard the assurance that single-family homes and mobile homes along A1A would not, if under the current ordinance, they would not have to make any changes as long as there's no new development or redevelopment. And while that's somewhat of an assurance, the FAQs that were shared made it very clear that there are no absolutes. It says that while you won't be rezoned, it doesn't mean automatically. So it's not like there's an absolute that says we absolutely won't be rezoned. I've lived on the highway as a child and was eminent domained in 1976. So I know that at that time, we were living in a community that was walkable, that our neighbors, we could get to them if they needed assistance, if they needed for anybody to come and see about them. And subsequent to the road coming through, those things changed. So it seems as though you're wanting to go back to that, but you have people who have exempted. So my question is, people who have exempted out of this process, they are retaining their rights that are current under the law before it changes. Is that correct or not? And there must have been a reason for them to do that, that would benefit them in a way that it might benefit me if I chose to retain my rights currently under the law at this time. Those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Burkett, Ms. Farrell Burkett.
Yeah, I was at the planning meeting last time, and I own 10 acres of property on Jean Lassere Boulevard, and I requested for it to be to transit 7.3, and I'm in approval of that. That's okay with the county. Transit, I'm sorry, transit.
Transact 7.3?
7.3.
Thank you, Mr. Burkett.
All right, thank
Yes,
you
sir.
very much.
So noted, thank you, sir. Mr. Peter Procco.
Hey, thanks for being here. No long night. I'm Peter Procco, and this is my wife Pam. We live at 86130 Williams Avenue in Yulee, Florida. The Timber Tides Initiatives in Article 44 and 45, probably the most sweeping and drastic zoning manipulations in the history of Nassau County, if I'm correct. And it really has little support, if any, from the general public. I mentioned 400 people, 5 years, 400 people. It's less than 1%, no? I seem to be, well, who does support this and why? Well, of course, the planners who planned it support it, and the stakeholders. A stakeholder is a person or a group with a financial interest in a project or endeavor. In the last month's PBZ hearing, there was just one vocal supporter of these initiatives and ordinances, and it was surprised a stakeholder, Mr. Greg Matavina. He doesn't even live here. He's a smart, prolific, for-profit developer, I think. I believe he has multiple developments already completed or underway currently within our county. He is also an appointee within the Nassau County Affordable Housing Committee. He spoke apparently for the Northeast Florida Builders Association last month, and he stated, Article 44 is wonderful. Now, Article 44 gives a lot of benefits to developers, so of course we think it's wonderful. And it provides incentives, higher densities and reduced setbacks. So if I'm correct, that equates to more housing units and less space. So that would mean even greater profits and faster build-out times. So if I'm correct again, the benefits are for the builders, but Nassau County residents are just more houses and less space with more congestion. Am I doing okay? The planning department's own data shows congestion is the #1 concern of this community. I addressed that concern at the last PBCB hearing. I would encourage everyone to watch the video record and reaction of Mr. Win Fendig, PZB member, immediately following my remarks. It begins, I believe, at the 2-hour 40-second mark. Mr. Fending, the owner of a real estate company who apparently are skilled in land acquisition for development, seemed truly angry at the one person who dared to stand up and question the validity and the wonders of the benefits of the Timbers to Tides initiatives and Article 44 and 45. Unbelievably, Mr. Fendig angrily stated, "We cannot control the growth in this county." For me, this is a wild and inappropriate statement, as he voted just last year to help drastically increase the zoning density of 24.63 acres of land next to my home and the Yulee Elementary School. A nice incentive for Mr. Matavino, I believe, but a potential 350% increase in daily automotive trip generations in and about my neighborhood, a school, and an active railroad crossing. The PZB did pass the Timber to Tides initiative last month and pushed for the adoption of Articles 44 and 45. So in fact, you can control growth, Mr. Fending. You just seem to be selective in your application of that power. My hearty congratulations to Mr. Matavina and the Northeast Florida Builders Association. The concept and application of laws and rules only hold meaning when they are based on equality. In no way do I feel that myself or my family or my neighbors are equally represented in this sweeping attempt to replace conventional zoning regulations. Stakeholders hold the high ground in this argument. When money talks, truth is silenced. In my circle of neighbors, we see these initiatives and articles as forced impositions with obvious new hazards and congestion and with zero benefits to existing residents.
Thank you, Mr. Procco. Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mark Manning?
Hello, Mark Manning, 1342 Groving Road, Fernandina Beach, Florida. Owners should have the option to opt out of this thing. This is just crazy. It's obviously just for the developers where they can get more units in the same acreage so they can make more money. If there's not an option to opt out, we will seek a Byrd Harris claim on this, and I guarantee there will be 4 lawsuits because I will be filing 4 myself, guaranteed. This whole thing is about, they say, well, we're going to take your property rights away, but we're going to give you this. So they're deciding that giving us these rights equals what they're taking away. I don't know how anybody can say they're equal. You know, you can't do that. It's just not right. I own Highway 17. I didn't know anything about this. They started this in 2019, and it was the A1A corridor. There was no mention of Highway 17 out from Yulee. That's where we are. We own a lot of property out there. We knew nothing about this. This is like coming out of the blue. Most owners and county residents, or the true shareholders, were not consulted. Standards have been ghostwritten by the developers and used by the county just to increase development and their own property values. Dangling the incentive to increase density and reduce setbacks while hiding the new restrictions such as exactions and taking such as aesthetic standards. In other words, they're going to tell me what my building's got to look like I built out there. Landscaping plans, multi-use paths, cross-access easements, limited development options, other onerous development standards devaluing the return available to my investment. I can't do what I bought this property to do with it, and therefore decreasing the value of my property. Forced mixed-use developments with extremely high development costs and no market capability. All this so the big developer can have a scenic route to their new corridor leading to their resort on the St. Mary's River. I mean, this is all for the big developers. This is all this is for. It's not for any of us little guys. And they've done some very sneaky things. They've confused a lot of people. When about a month ago, they started getting feedback. So they sent out a letter saying you can keep your current zoning that's there. They did not say you still have to follow these outlays and follow these new restrictions. So these people I've talked to think, oh, they're going to give me our own zoning. I can do what we always could do. They should have had a phrase in there saying, but you have to follow these outlays. They didn't put that in there. All they're saying is we'll give you a free zoning change. You don't have to pay for it to go to the comp plan now. So it made it sound like nothing's going our way. You're not losing anything. They don't realize they're getting ready to get screwed. And the way it's just been sneaky. I mean, you know, if you're going to do Highway 17 going out from Yulee, how come this was not like, it should have been the 200 Highway 17 plan? There should have been some notice of us. They've been doing this since 2019 and none of us know anything about it until maybe a month ago. That's ridiculous. Just totally ridiculous. I know they're trying to get around the Byrd-Harris Act with this deal, but I've already talked to litigators, and you probably are going to lose a bunch of lawsuits on this. How do you just decide that you're doing an equal swap? Who makes that decision? And what if we don't want to do that? We didn't buy the property to do this. You know, so I mean, and I'm telling you right now, and I guarantee there's going to be more lawsuits than just mine coming. So just be aware, this is just not fair.
Thank you, Mr. Manning. Thank you, sir. I have no other speaker cards on tab R.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Martin.
I will not screw up your script, but the first speaker, the lady sitting behind Mr. Macbeth.
Ms. Jenkins?
Yeah, she had some, pointed questions. And I would like Mr. Macbeth or to come to the podium, and I don't know if you wrote these questions down.
I did.
Okay, and
Mr. Macbeth?
address her questions.
Mr. Macbeth, were there revisions to the plan since the last planning board meeting was the first question?
Yes, so those were provided in the supplemental staff report, which is part of this record, and it documents each of those changes. And one kind of leads into another question, but so, there is questions about the single-family homes and mobile homes and their exemption from this. So one of those revisions was adding a specific line about, if you go to rezone your property, specifically if one of those properties were to be rezoned, so they're also protected. But, we reference back to the applicability section, 4502 of the LDC. What's important about these comments, of course, is they apply to the LDC 25001. The exemptions are specifically found in the code. They're not necessarily found in this comprehensive plan amendment brought before you. I'm happy to still address them. But construction or replacement of single-family home, dwelling, mobile home, or individual parcel of land existing prior to adoption of timber to tides, they're not subject to these community-based design standards. In terms of those PUDs are subject to these standards if they break that development agreement. The reason they aren't subject right now is because they have an existing agreement with the county. So, we honor those agreements. One of the refinements that we did when we added, changes to supplemental report was create a very distinct vesting section that identifies what vests you and what would not vest you. And if you modify, a PUD, if you modify, by increasing entitlement, asking for more density, you'd be subject to these standards. Was there another?
The other one was exemptions. Were they publicly announced and recorded for those that opted for exemptions?
I don't know specifically about recorded exemptions. These exemptions have been in place since the beginning. We've always written them this way. If anything, we've only added to them to just make it more clear and clarified. But, they're on our website. They've been the same since the beginning. But I'd be happy to get with Ms. Simmons and make sure that everything is clear before, it gets fully adopted or considered tonight for adoption. But I hope that addresses those questions.
Mr. Chairman, through the chair, Mr. Macbeth, yes, please get with her if you haven't exchanged contact information previously, and get with her, because I don't want to speak for her, but I think her concern is she may have missed a window on something that she didn't know about to protect her property. So please get with her after the meeting, exchange contact information, so that she has any other technical questions going forward, you can help her out.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Okay, any more questions for staff or members that have spoken? Seeing none, I'm going to close the floor to public comment or deliberation and or a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say that I've had a few calls from some of the landowners in the corridor that didn't understand exactly what timber to tides represents, and every one of those have been answered. Mr. Macbeth, Taco, we've all rallied together. So if anybody out there from the community hasn't came in and met with staff, well then maybe it'd be a good opportunity for you to do so, because at the end of the day, this isn't some hide behind the shower curtain plan. For lack of a better way to term it. I don't know. I see, this one gentleman come up here and he's, upset. I had one of my good friends that was thoroughly upset. And I said, hey, have you sat down with planning staff and you got your questions answered before you lose it? And he goes, no, I haven't. So well, maybe that'd be a good place to start. So at the end of the day, I'd like to just say that this isn't just some plan that's been hidden in the darkness that the public hasn't been aware of or hasn't had any privy to. This thing's been public met to death. And at the end of the day, everybody in the room, should have had ample opportunity at some point to have visited one of these functions to get their questions answered. So I just want to go on the record as saying that, if you still got questions after tonight, please reach out to one of us so we can connect you with staff. These people, they've all worked for you, and I can assure you that they'll be glad to answer your questions and add clarity to it. The District 5 man is in no way going to vote for eminent domain. I think that, people, they fear-monger, for lack of a better way to term it, and then people get all upset and get their hair on fire for no reason. So if you got a question, reach out to one of us. We'll pair you up with staff. We'll meet with staff. The District 5 man is not a planner. We have planners here. They've dedicated their life. That's their education. But we'll sit there, and I'll be more than happy to mediate conversation for any one of you and make sure you get the clarity that you deserve. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Farmer. Anyone, any other board deliberation? Comments? No. With that, I'll entertain a motion to approve or deny.
I make a motion.
Farmer.
Based on record evidence and testimony received, I find that there is competent substantial evidence pursuant to section 163.3168, subsection 2, Florida statutes, and therefore my motion is to approve CPA 25-001 for transmittal to state agencies.
Motion for Commissioner Farmer,
Second.
second by Commissioner Martin. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Gray,
Yes.
Commissioner McCullough,
Yes.
Commissioner Farmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Martin,
Yes.
and Chair Hutton.
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays.
Quasi judicial public hearings. County Attorney will read the procedures.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As stated, the hearings below are quasi-judicial hearings. Those are tab S, consider R24-004, the rezoning of approximately 55.46 acres on the south side of Clyde Higginbotham Road, north of the Duval County line from open rural OR to transect 2.5 T-2.5, and rezoning of 5.19 acres on the south side of Clyde Higginbotham Road, north of the Duval County line from open rural OR to transect 1 T-1, application filed by WRC Cook Yulee LLC owner, District 3. Tab T, to consider LDC 25-001, an ordinance of the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, Florida, amending ordinance number 97-19 as amended, known as the Nassau County Land Development Code, adopting Article 44, Transect-Based Zoning District TBZ, adopting Article 45, Timber to Tides Design Overlay, Community-Based Design Standards, providing for codification, providing for conflicting provisions, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. This is first reading for tab T. Quasi-judicial hearings by state and case law are different than regular hearings conducted by the board. A quasi-judicial is less formal than a court hearing, but similar in its procedure and evidence matters. Applicants have the burden of demonstrating through competent substantial evidence that his or her application is consistent with the following requirements. For tab S, Nassau County Comprehensive Plan Policies FL.01.02I, FL.08.04, FL.08.06A through G, ROS 01.06, ROS.01.09, Sections 12A through N of the rezoning application criteria, and Section 502C and D of the Land Development Code. As for tab T, Nassau County Comprehensive Plan Policies, FL.02.06, T.02.06, T.03.04, Objective T.04, Policy T.0402, Policy T.0404, Policy T.0501, Policy T.0505, Policy ROS 01.12, ROS.01.04, ROS 01.05, ROS 01.06, ROS 01.07, ROS 01.08, ROS 01.09, Goal Water Objective, WAT.03, Policy, WAT.03.01, Sewer Objective, SEW.01, SEW.03.04, ED Objective, ED.05, Policy ED.05.01, ED.0502, ED.0503, Goal H Objective H.01, H.0101, H.0103, CS Objective CS02, CS0202, Objective CS08, Policy CS0801, Objective FL.01, FL.0104, FL0302, FL08, FL0804, FL0805, and 0806. The applicant is entitled to be represented by counsel. I believe that in one of these, the county is actually the applicant. If there is representation required or requested for tab S, could you please let me know at this time? Seeing none, the hearing procedures will be as follows. Staff will be sworn. They will describe the applicant's request. They will have 10 minutes. The applicant may waive their presentation and rely on staff comments. If they waive their presentation, they retain their right to rebut any testimony against their application. Does the applicant for tab S wish to waive their presentation and rely upon staff comments?
According to the comment card I received on tab S, he does want to rely on staff report. He's available for questions.
I will take that for the record if Mr. Matavina, who is in the back of the room, agrees. All right. You do retain your right to rebut any testimony. The applicant or representative will have an opportunity to present evidence for the application. They will have 15 minutes. Public participants for or against the application will be sworn in. They will have 3 minutes each to provide testimony or present evidence to the board. Extensions of time may only be granted through the chair. Sharing or transferring of time is not allowed. Public participants who present evidence for or against will address the board at the podium. Any documents or photographs will be given to the deputy clerk. They do become a part of the permanent record. As a quasi-judicial hearing, large numbers of individuals for or against a particular item will not be considered. They do not constitute competent and substantial evidence. The applicant or their representative will have a maximum of 10 minutes for any cross-exam or to provide rebuttal evidence. Staff will have 5 minutes to provide final comments. The board will then close the public hearing and discuss the application. You may ask questions of the applicant, staff, or witnesses for or against an application. Any motion of the board should include whether you find competent, substantial evidence in the record and/or testimony received to support your decision to approve or deny the agenda item. Again, the meeting is being recorded, so please no outburst, applause, or talking. If there are any questions in regards to these quasi-judicial procedures, could you please ask them at this time? Seeing none, Mr. Chair, you may continue.
Thank you, ma'am. Ex parte disclosures to tab S. Ex parte disclosures include emails, letters, site visits, any other form of communication. Disclosure should include who the communication was with, the nature of that communication, and the substance of the communication. Commissioner McCullough.
I do, and I've received 2 emails, and they are captured on my county device. Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question of the clerk for clarification before we proceed? Is
the county attorney?
Or the county attorney? I went through the documents. Is this a clerical error that it should be tab S, correct? But the information is correct?
That is correct.
Thank you, Ms. May.
Apologies.
Thank you,
for
Mr.
that.
Chairman. I just wanted,
Thank you for the
I thought that the
clarification.
information was correct. I'm just making sure that that was the only typo.
Commissioner Gray?
Thank you.
Yes, I
Any ex
received,
parte communications?
yes, I received communication emails, and I believe I had a phone conversation. I did have a phone conversation with a gentleman as well, all on my county device, all captured on my county device. Yes, sir.
Commissioner Farmer, ex parte?
This is just in reference to tab S, correct?
Correct, tab S only.
Yeah, none.
Okay, Commissioner Martin?
Email on captured on my county device.
And I had none. So, Madam Clerk, if you please identify the documents to be placed in the record for tab S.
Tab S, application R24-004, supplemental staff report 10 pages, staff report 10 pages, revised application for rezoning 34 pages, review criteria for rezoning 3 pages, school impact analysis form 2 pages, public school concurrency proportionate share mitigation agreement 28 pages, William Burgess District context and connectivity blueprint, transects use list 1 page, draft ordinance 13 pages, staff comments 4 pages, planning and zoning board motion 1 page, and staff presentation 17 pages.
Chairman, I move to accept the documents into the record.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner Farmer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The documents will be accepted for the record. Going to open the public hearing for tab S. As previously stated, we'll do the staff presentation first. Thank you, Ms. Beck.
Good evening, Commissioners. Let me pull this up, then it'll be sworn. Elizabeth Back with the Planning Department. So this case before you tonight is a rezoning, which is a companion case to the case we heard earlier tonight, the comp plan amendment. This is our 24-004. seeking to go from open rural or OR to Transect 1 and Transect 2.5. It's approximately 60.65 acres, and the applicant is WRC Cook Yulee with the agent Greg Matavina in Commission District 3. We oriented you earlier to this site. It's the same one as the comp plan amendment earlier in the agenda. And you saw this graphic as well with the William Burgess District overlay. The zoning change is shown on the left and the land use request on the right. And then this is again orienting you towards that regulating map shown with the William Burgess District overlay. So I do want to draw your attention to, this is the use list found within the William Burgess District Context and Connectivity Blueprint. As you can see, it's a little bit small, but T1 is intended to be more of a natural type area, and the applicant is requesting to go to T1 or Transect 1 for the wetland acres on their property. Now, the remainder of the site is being requested for T2.5, and if you look downwards here, you can see what type of residential uses are permitted by the P: single-family detached house, accessory dwelling, manufactured home or mobile home. And you go into lodging, you could do an inn, potentially do an inn up to 12 rooms, bed and breakfast, and then anything that has a C would be potentially a conditional use, like a farmer's market. In terms of consistency with the comprehensive plan, we're looking at policy FL.01.02 and find that T1 and T2.5 are both natural zone intended for areas 0 dwelling units per upland acre maximum. For the rural transitional zone of T2.5, the potential of 1 dwelling unit per upland acre and a potential floor area ratio or FAR of 0.5. And I've got listed there some of those uses that we reflected on in that previous chart or table. In terms of consistency with the uses, densities, and intensities permitted by the future land use map designation, and then the goals, objectives, and policies of the comprehensive plan, staff does find this to be consistent and to support the infill development type supported by the vision of the overlay. And it is located near moderately large lot residential to the north and west, a planned unit development subdivision with quarter-acre lots to the west, bounded by wetlands and waterways to the south, and then the railroad track on the east, and some commercial uses as well further to the east. And it is consistent with the adjacent existing zoning pattern in the plan transects in this overlay. And just to refresh your memory, this is a district that was approved back by the Board of County Commissioners on August 28th of 2017. It does implement the principles of the Vision 2032 plan and the 2030 comprehensive plan, promoting such things as transit-oriented, compact, mixed-use community, promoting social engagement, a live-work environment, and fiscal sustainability. This is also reflected in the staff report, but there is a growing area with the courthouse, sheriff's office, emergency operations and animal control, also retail, grocery stores, and emergency and medical care within the vicinity. And as was mentioned, the T1 section is for natural areas, and that is the wetland area that is anticipated to, or being requested to move towards that T1. I will note that any ground disturbing activities adjacent to tortoise burrows do require consultation with the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. We discussed this, and it's in the southeastern portion of the district, which was shown on that regulating map for T1 and T2.5. It does recognize the transitional nature of the subject property. I will say on the next slide, we'll be showing you figure 4.8, which is the green infrastructure plan and multi-use trails and bikeways from the blueprint. The applicant is aware of this. It's a little bit hard to see at this size. But down here in this vicinity, you'll see the pink dotted line. And when this site comes in for site development, this will be a requirement that the developer will need to meet and show how they can address this. So in summation, Land Development Code 5.02C and D requirements have been met. The site is found to be consistent with the requirements of the future land use policies and the review criteria for the rezoning application, 12A through N. Staff is recommending approval of this application. The Planning and Zoning Board did hear this item on March 4th, and they did recommend approval. And I'm available for any questions.
Thank you very much. The comment card I have from the applicant, rely on staff report, available to any questions. Is there any change in that status? Mr. Monavino? No, sir. Okay, thank you, sir. I have public speaker cards. Mr. Peter Procco. And Pam Procco, if you want to come together again or individually, it's. Yes, ma'am.
No, it's for S.
Correction, I'm sorry. Disregard, I'm sorry. I'm one letter ahead of myself on the stack of cards. Thank you. Thanks for the backup, Commissioner Martin. All right, I have no other speaker cards for tab S. Any cross-examination or rebuttal for staff? Any additional questions? Okay. Any board questions? Seeing none? Close the public hearing on tab S. Board deliberations, or I will entertain a motion on approval or denial of R 24-004.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Gray.
I'd like to present you a motion, please, sir. Based upon the record, evidence, and testimony received, I find that there is competent and substantial evidence pursuant to the county comprehensive plan policies FL.01.02I and FL.08.04 and FL.08.06A through G, ROS.01.06 and ROS.0109, Section 12A through N of the rezoning application, and Section 5.02 C and D of the Land Development Code. And therefore, my motion is to approve RS 24-004. And I want to clarify that with Ms. May. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. That's my motion, sir.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Farmer. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Farmer?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Commissioner Gray?
Yes.
Commissioner McCullough?
Yes.
And Chair Huffman?
Yes.
It's 5 ayes, 0 nays. The motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving on to tab T. As a reminder, consider LDC 25001, ordinance about the Board of County Commissioners of Nassau County, amending ordinance 97-19, as amended, known as the Nassau County Land Development Code, adopting Article 44, Transect-Based Zoning District, TBZ, adopting Article 45, Timber to Tides Design Overlay, Community-Based Design Standards, providing for codification, providing for conflicting provisions, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. This is the first reading of LDC 25001. Commissioner McCullough, any ex parte communications?
Yes, sir, they're captured. I have received email, and it is on my county device, all correspondence.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Gray?
Yes, everything is on my county device.
Mr. Farmer?
I had a couple phone calls and they are captured on my county device.
Thank you. And Commissioner Martin?
Emails on my county device.
Okay, and I had emails, received emails from folks on my county device as well. Madam Clerk, if you please identify documents to be placed in the record for tab T.
Tab T, application LDC 25-001, supplemental staff report, 4 pages, staff report, 11 pages, attachment C, 7 pages, draft ordinance 2025-012, including attachment A, Article 44, and attachment B, Article 45, 119 pages, corridor impact analysis and executive summary, 36 pages, development standards impact analysis, 80 pages, final business impact estimate, 3 pages, staff presentation, 14 pages, planning and zoning board motion, 2 pages.
Mr. Chairman, I move to accept the documents into the record.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner Farmer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We'll accept the documents. Going to open the public hearing for tab T. Staff presentation, 10 minutes.
Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and title for the record.
Joshua Macbeth, Senior Planner. So tonight we have LDC 2501. It's to adopt two new articles, Article 44, Transit-Based Zoning Districts, and Article 45, Timber to Tides Design Overlay Community-Based Design Standards to the Land Development Code. So these articles will establish a timber to tides design overlay as a form-based regulatory framework that applies to the land area delineated in the future land use map series, Flume Map 11, pursuant to the companion application CPA 25-001. So LDC 25001 represents two new Land Development Code articles, Article 44, Article 45, and then the delineated area is in this pink boundary. So everything within this pink boundary is found to be within the timber to tides design overlay. And there's a larger resolution map available online, as well as an interactive map that you can zoom in on the website and attach to the record. So Article 44, Transit-Based Zoning District, and then Article 45, Timber to Tides Design Overlay, two new Land Development Code articles. Once again, there was a supplemental staff report between the April 15th Planning and Zoning Board. So attachment A and B, which is Article 44 and Article 45, have been refined. So these changes are intended to clarify implementation, improve flexibility for developers, and ensure the proposed transit-based framework and community-based design standards remain consistent with the goals and objectives of the overlay. Some key revisions: you have additional administrative flexibilities. For instance, people were concerned that the parameters in the Article 44 chart were too strict. So now there's a 10% variance just allowed through at a staff level to make administrative adjustments. You have clarification on transparency, height standards, refinement of Special District 7.3, as well as flexibility within the supplemental standards for Transect 3.5 and 4. All these were made with the intent to, make clarifying kind of improvements to the language to make sure they're more concise, but also create more flexibility at the staff level to make adjustments. So revisions also address phased infrastructure requirements, non-conforming property treatment, and landscaping architectural standards to improve clarity and feasibility while preserving the overall vision of walkable, connected, and context-sensitive development. And then attachment C remained unchanged. Once again, in terms of timeline of events, this engagement process began in January 2019 in pursuit of the SR 281A Quarter Master Plan. Two consultants, GAI Consultants and Fem by Design, were part of this engagement process, as well as the analysis of the Land Development Code and Comprehensive Plan, which led to the resolution in 2021. In terms of drafting, between December and June 2024, staff worked on creating Articles 44, 45, as well as edits to the Comprehensive Plan. This involves evaluating current Land Development Code, addressing existing conflicts, and making sure we're still consistent with our goals and objectives, which are also found as part of the SR 200 Master Plan. Final review began in July 2024 with the release of draft version 1, which involved a series of open houses and stakeholder discussions that led to draft version 2. From draft version 2, another series of outreaches, and it continued through that process up until the Planning and Zoning Board on April 15th. So timeline events, July 19th. So over 8 months it's been since the first release of the draft, which was made available on our website. From draft version 1 began the engagement that led to draft version 2. So between July and November. So draft version 2 was then published on December. From December to March, you had the third and final version, which went to Planning and Zoning Board, and then you had further refinement at the Planning and Zoning Board. And you had a Planning and Zoning Board and Board of County Commissioners workshop in between there. Between that 8-month process, you've had just about 40 different independent discussions with owners, realtors, stakeholders, which were scheduled with staff. That's not to say there's been more than that, just impromptu people showing up at the counter, people showing up, asking questions, and staff's made themselves available to answer those questions throughout this process. Once again, as part of this analysis, we did an evaluation of development standards with GAI consultants. So they looked at 2 different corridors that applied overlay standards similar to what we're proposing. You have Nassau County in the first column, McCoy, and then Maitland. Similar annual trip counts. You've got similar rural and suburban commercial corridors, 6-lane, and similar high-intensity traffic, as well as similar proposals for overlay standards. And so the conclusions of that analysis, which are provided as part of your record, economic development outcomes between corridors with and without enhanced development standards were generally modest over the 15-year evaluation period in most measured categories, such as employment, market inventory, rental rates, property values. Corridors with higher standards exhibited slightly higher compound annual growth rates, and they're expected to provide a boost to long-term employment, wage-related economic growth, market performance, and property values over a 15 to 25-year period. The presence of strong design standards did not appear to hinder development, and higher standard corridors demonstrated stronger outcomes related to design cohesion, place-based identity, and overall community character. In terms of consistency for Vision 2032 plan, density and intensity bonuses for new mixed-use developments where facilities and services are available, use of interconnected street networks or alternative routes, opportunities for high-value non-residential developments and mixed-use developments with employment centers for targeted industries, create a public-private partnership to prefer shovel-ready industrial, business office park sites, having a minimum of 200 acres, through the local planning agency, establish design guidelines, dimensional criteria, incentives to promote compact mixed-use development patterns, and determine and implement incentives to development that will help balance the tax base, such as high technology and high-value mixed-use development to industry, office, research, and educational facilities that provide new employment opportunities and support existing major employment sectors. So this is infrastructure and growth management in Vision 2032. Heading the consistency of the comprehensive plan, just going through the future land use element, county shall direct development and patterns which avoid the proliferation of urban sprawl. County shall discourage urban sprawl by requiring higher density compact development to occur in areas that are planned to be served by public facilities, providing for sound and cost-efficient public facility planning. County shall direct commercial and multifamily residential uses and do clustered or nodal development patterns that eliminate or reduce strip or ribbon development following major county or state roadways. County should develop innovative land development regulations in order to better implement the goals, objectives, and policies of this plan. Shall permit the use of innovative land development techniques, allow for appropriate density bonuses to encourage construction of affordable housing units. And the land development code shall promote the construction of master plan and mixed-use developments by providing incentives such as density bonus, flexible design standards, and funding options for required infrastructural improvements. In terms of the future land use element pursuant to CPA 25-001, policy 0206, it's found to be consistent with the policies for the timber ties design overlay. This is just a copy of the consistency analysis. And in conclusion, this amendment is in conformance with the Florida statutes and goals and objectives and policies of the comprehensive plan, and does not conflict with the Land Development Code, Code of Ordinances, and other county regulatory documents. Based on these findings, staff recommends approval of LDC 25-001, adopting 2 new articles, Article 44 and Article 45, to the Land Development Code, and the Planning and Zoning Board voted for approval with a 5-0 vote on April 15th. Staff's available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. McBeth. Mr. Peter Procco, Ms. Pam Procco, Mr. Peter Procco, are you coming together again? I'm going to remind you that you're going to take an oath this time before you speak with the clerk, please.
I do. My name is Peter Procco. I don't think I'm a fearmonger. right? And this is my wife Pam Procco, and we live at 86130 Williams Avenue in Yulee. Abysmal levels of service ratings at the intersections all along SR 200 A1A are already present. F ratings failed, but apparently Mr. Fendig and apparently our county engineer, Mr. Companion, last month expressed that with regard to the SR 200 A1A roadway, quote, "We don't own it." Apparently, increased congestion upon our main thoroughfare is the FDOT's responsibility now and their issue to address. So let's subtract that highway from the congestion and hazard equation and address what we do own, Fillmore Road. Clearly, it is a critical roadway component within the Timber to Tides initiatives. I've emailed each of you a drone shot and street photograph of Fillmore Road from just last year. The automotive impacts of headwaters on Lofton Creek development and another Matavina project, I believe, on Pages Dairy Road, on the north side of those railroad tracks, aren't even represented in those photographs, but they are coming. The Planning and Zoning Board and the Planning Department seem to have no issue in further impacting Fillmore Road when they tried to approve the densely packed 188-unit housing development just on the south side of the railroad tracks, right when I took those photographs. So questions directly related to the first attempt to develop a Timber to Tides consistent PUD. The photographs I provided, taken last year, show school buses driving on the opposite side of the road on Fillmore Road. So Mr. Pope, Mr. Companion, Mr. Hurst, Mrs. May, Mrs. Burns, Mrs. Fending, Mr. Flick, Mr. Henson, Mr. Erickson, Mr. Blue, Mrs. Brantley, Mrs. Back, Ms. Kaiser, and Mr. Macbeth. Were you not aware of the insanely hazardous conditions already present there upon Fillmore Road? I posted those pictures and given them for official documents before in the past. I asked a question last year with absolutely no answer from anyone. Again, who specifically wrote on the approved the following statement? Within the staff report addendum, adequate infrastructure and road capacity are available on Fillmore Road and SR 200 to support the expansion of residential uses. I thought we didn't own SR 200. Dr. Kathy Burns was already in negotiations when those pictures were taken to help provide an easement that would have furthered the impacts on Fillmore Road. Is he reading the book? Oh. I think he's reading.
Do you have anything further, Mr. Procco?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Burns, I'd like to know if she approved direct school buses to travel on the wrong side of the road on Fillmore Road. If this practice no longer occurs, why has that practice stopped? Controversial and costly 10-acre purchase next to the Yulee Elementary School has seen absolutely no advancement in those alleviation of school congestion on Fillmore Road. How are those 10 acres beneficial to Nassau County residents, or should I say Timber to Tides agents and stakeholders? I don't think I should read anymore.
Okay.
Thank
you. Mrs. Procco?
Yes, sir.
You would restart that. Thank you.
I've already been sworn in. Okay. Sorry. Hi.
Hi.
My name is Pam Procco, and I live at 86130 Williams Avenue in Yulee. In regards to the Timber to Tides impact to Fillmore Road, Mr. Companion, what is the expected level of service at the intersection of Pages Dairy Road and Fillmore Road at final build-out of the Headwaters development? Had the Northgate duplexes PUD been developed as initially planned, what was the expected LOS at the same intersection? What is the distance between the railroad tracks and Pages Dairy Road? What are the line of sight issues on Fillmore Road in proximity to the railroad tracks? Mr. Companion and Mr. Hurst, I presume the Northgate duplexes PUD application and addendum had both your professional reviews and approval. As it did come before the PCB for a final review and vote last year, is this not correct? Votes have once again been cast in an official capacity by Nassau County officials regarding these Timber to Tides initiatives in Articles 44 and 45. As both commercial and residential development pushes forward into these overlay areas, we'd like to be assured that no conflict of interest arise in those areas. Ms. May, are we correct in assuming that there has been no, nor will there be, subsequent involvement by the Fendig Group or Keller Williams, the Compass Group, Regional Development Associates, Opportunity Funding, Amelia Sunrise Realty, Florida Infrastructure, or Nassau Management? Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ms. Laura Sweeney?
Hi. Yes, but it's mostly questions. Laura Sweeney, and I'm on Arrigo in South Fletcher. Mr. Gray, this is a direct question, or a comment. We had spoken, and we had both agreed that A1A is not a county-owned road. That is a state road. The county cannot do anything with that road unless we get state, or unless the state wants to do it. You indicated to me that that was what had, that's what your knowledge base is on. Is that anywhere in writing? Does the attorney know?
Mr. Gray, you don't have to answer questions. Ma'am, are you
Okay.
providing testimony for the?
I'm asking
for
questions. The
17?
question is, are we able to
I'm
find
just
out?
Looking for evidence, not questions.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay. You will be hearing further, and it will not be as pleasant with.
I'm not trying to
I'm
shut down
asking
your time.
questions.
Ma'am, this is a testimonial hearing. If you have evidence to give, please feel free to do so.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Glenda Jenkins?
Glenda Simmons Jenkins, 96091 Ellis Marson Drive. Just a follow-up to my previous questions, but this is testimony.
Yes, ma'am.
I mentioned eminent domain so that I could center you all to the experience of somebody who's lived in this community my entire life. And I also mentioned it because if something happens to my home via natural disaster, be it fire, be it hurricane, my home or the homes of my neighbors, and we seek to rebuild under timber to tides, it is my understanding we would not be able to do that at the current standard. We would have to do it at the timber to tide standard. And if I'm not able to meet those regulations, then that is essentially the state, the county taking my property. Eminent domain is a taking. And if you create a regulation that prevents me from rebuilding, I consider that a taking. It's not fear-mongering, it's a lived experience. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Greg Montevina?
Greg Mattavino, 12443 San Jose Boulevard. I stand before you today as a stakeholder, as a property owner in the Timber to Tides overlay. I stand before you as a representative of Northeast Florida Builders Association, and I stand before you as probably the only developer who's developed a large-scale development, or is attempting to develop a large-scale development under an overlay here in the county, that being Liberty Cove. This is not a developer initiative. I'm going to clarify that so you all don't have to clarify that. This initiative is part of the county's vision to change the look of County Road, or State Road 200 and 17 and some of the others. And quite frankly, NEFPA and myself, we applaud that vision. That's a great vision. The task that you all undertook, that staff undertook, is not easy. It requires a lot of stamina and courage. And so I have to just tell you that I and we applaud the staff for the hard work they put in. Joshua has done a great job. The commissioners, I think, have done a great job. Is this perfect? No. It's probably going to need some adjustment at some point. But nothing that we do in this life is perfect. We strive for that, but there's only one man who achieved that. So I guess what I would say in conclusion is that NEFBA and myself, we're fully in support of this. We would encourage, as it's implemented, flexibility, both at the staff level and at the commissioner level. For instance, we would encourage you, perhaps a year into this, to look back at it, and if there have been some developments done pursuant to this, look at what worked well and what didn't work well, and it may require some changes to the ordinance. We would encourage you to look at that. We've never done that with the William Burgess overlay that I'm aware of, and I think there may be some changes that are in order there. And number two, I would encourage you all to focus on the vision. Okay, that yes, there's a bunch of rules that implement the vision, but really what you want to focus on is what did you intend to accomplish when you started this, and that is to change the look of that corridor. So thank you again for all the hard work and giving me this time to speak today.
Thank you, Mr. Montague. Any cross-examination or rebuttal? Mr. Macbeth, I do have an additional question for you, if I may, based on comments from Ms. Jenkins. Her concern on a rebuild. I know it was a hypothetical question, but since it was asked in evidentiary manner, I'd like to ask you, can we discuss that?
So I believe it was phrased, if the building burnt to the ground, if it were destroyed. So I probably have to look at the code closer, but the way the applicability is written is if I go to replace a single-family home or mobile home, I can do that. If I have no home on that property and I am a lot of record and I existed prior to the adoption of this code, I can put a home on that property. If I go to expand that home, once again, I'm not subject to any of the community-based design standards listed in that document. Where I'd want to be cautious is because you're not subject to those standards that are part of Article 45, you're still subject to existing non-conforming standards in the existing section of the LDC. Typically, and I'm happy to give Ms. Jenkins once again, a lot of records and properties that existed prior to, I want to say it's June 21, if they were to be destroyed, they're allowed to be replaced. It looks at existing zoning and land use. But in terms of, in relation to Article 45, it's very clear and distinct that you're allowed to replace, you're allowed to build a new home, you're allowed to expand that home, provided that it existed or it was a lot of record prior to the adoption, the effective date of these regulations. But I would like to get with her and just clear up what the existing non-conforming code says in the land development code.
Good.
Which is, I wish I remembered my codes off the top of my head. I want to say it's 2809.
Mr. Chairman, if I may interject?
Mr. Gray first, please, and then, Commissioner Gray.
Mr. Macbeth, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So is it safe to say in terminology that if you, a lot of record, you grandfathered, basically, to rebuild your home?
A lot of records are,
yes.
Yeah, even if you had a smaller lot than what that zone provided, you'd be allowed to build it because it's a lot of records.
And also, if you trigger like a redevelopment to a commercial activity, you would fall under the new timber tax. But if not, you would not trigger anything unless you did not redevelop your property, correct? To commercial.
There are instances, let's say, where somebody rezoned to a transect and they wanted to build residential under the transect standards, they would be subject to these. But in terms of it's a weird situation, but I think effectively what you're saying, yes, commercial redevelopment, new development, changes of use, that's what's subject to this.
Rezoning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman and Mr. Macbeth.
Yeah.
So, since this is the first reading, by the time of the second reading, you will have a chance to research this and run it by the county attorney and give an answer regarding this not eminent domain, but regarding what her question was.
Correct.
All right.
Yes, and I want to be clear that is not imminent.
I understand that. I understand. I just want, you know, even though she's not going to get an answer tonight, you're going to research it to make sure you get the right answer, notify the county attorney, make sure it's legal, and give her an answer.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Macbeth. Any further questions or final comments?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say to Ms. Jenkins, I don't know what county you lived in the state of Florida, but I wouldn't live there. I'll just go ahead and tell you that, you know, I'm your friend, I'm your neighbor. I do believe there's a lot of fear mongering going on here about this Timber to Tides program. I stand by that comment. But at the end of the day, if I can help orchestrate anything moving forward, you give me a call. I mean, you're obviously going to be in District 3, but at the end of the day, you know, we're elected at large. I serve at large. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me where it is. It can be from the beaches all the way out to the other side. I think my colleagues feel the same way I do. We handle business like that for the public at large. So at the end of the day, if there's questions that are unanswered, even to maybe some that didn't make the meeting tonight, you know, we still got time to make a few changes. If you see something needs to be polished up in there, you see something that maybe we didn't catch as commissioners, that looks like that, you know, we can maybe, you know, adopt this or change that to make things a little more clear, well, please, you know, bring it to us. That way we can look at it, we can make that change before the final. So I'd just like to say that, Ms. Jenkins, and like I said, I say that with the utmost respect, and I'll be there for you. Thank you.
That'll close the public hearing on tab T. Thank you, Mr. Farmer.
Mr. Chair, if I may, just to
ma'am.
make it before you go to deliberate and vote.
Yep.
As you go into your voting and you start looking at the number of policies that you feel you must read, know that you can, if you wish to vote for, you can state simply the policy, comprehensive plan policies as listed in staff's report. If you wish to bring out a specific policy that you disagree with, you may just name the one instead of reading the entire list. So, just to make that easier for your deliberations and discussions.
Well, I was hoping that, you know, Commissioner Gray, since this is mostly in his district, that he was going to have to read all that.
Either way. Any further board deliberation? Thank you for the clarity, Counselor. I appreciate that. Okay, I will entertain a motion for approval or denial of LDC 25-004.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Gray.
Since this is located in District 3, I would like to present you with a motion.
Into.
Yes, sir. Based upon the record evidence and testimony received, I find that there is competent substantial evidence pursuant to the following Nassau County Comprehensive Plan policies and policies listed.
In the staff report.
And therefore, in the
And they
staff
are listed
report.
in the staff report.
And therefore, my motion is to approve LDC 25-001, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Gray,
I'll second it.
a second by Commissioner Martin. Madam Clerk, if you please call roll.
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Commissioner McCullough?
Yes.
Commissioner Gray?
Yes.
Commissioner Farmer?
Yes.
And Chair Hutton?
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays, the motion passes.
Oops, sorry about that. Tab U is informational items. The Board of County Commissioners newsletter for March 2025 is out. Thank you, Mr. Gray, for holding that up for me. General public comment. General public comments are for items under the authority of the Board of County Commissioners. Time limit is 3 minutes. Ms. Jackie Osborne.
Jackie Osborne, Post Office Box 16796, Herndon Beach, Florida 32005. Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to speak to you regarding the Nassau County Animal Shelter. I know I have impressed upon you during the last several meetings that we're in the midst of kitten season. I had some photos of the kittens that have been guests of NCAS here, but we had a technical difficulty. Okay, we're just gonna have it. There was a picture of 4 kittens that were adopted very quickly after they returned from foster. 2 of those kittens were adorable girls who will also go quite quickly. One picture was of Elsa. Elsa was a little black kitten. She was thrown from a moving vehicle out a window here in Nassau County. Fortunately, an individual saw this kitten being thrown out the window and stopped to help. Elsa suffered a degloved chin. The skin was pulled away from her mouth. That's a degloved chin. Additionally, there was nerve damage to the right front leg, which was amputated because it was necessary. Fortunately, Elsa is doing better. The individual who witnessed the incident has taken Elsa in as a foster and will adopt her once she is spayed and ready for a forever home. On the same subject, tomorrow morning at 8:30 at the courthouse, there will be an issue regarding animal cruelty. The dog's name is Molly. Animal control officer will be involved and who's involved in the case will be in attendance. I will be there as well. NCAS Facebook page is incredible. Animals are listed who are sheltered there with their information. I urge you all to glance at it regularly to see the fantastic job our NCAS personnel do. Our count for the week, we have 74 dogs in the shelter, 75 in foster. Cats, 21 in the shelter, 58 in foster. Again, these are the kittens. Does everybody have a kitten? Miss Abigail, have I approached you about a kitten? They're going to be available shortly. Once again, thank you for your enthusiasm regarding the new animal shelter and your continued support of the staff there. Their compassion and care for Nassau County's animals is the best of the best. There is not one employee there that I would not trust to take care of any animal I owned. Thank you so very much, and thank you for a good evening. My knees are killing me. I got to go home, y'all.
Thank you, Jackie. Mr. Larry Brantley? Welcome, sir.
452039 Old Dixie Highway. In 2019, there was a resolution passed, 2019-163. It was to close through traffic to Dial Road. And at that time, in 2019, there was a portion of that road that was dirt. And the county and the county staff and the commissioners voted to close it to keep from diminishing the dirt road for public to be able to, the locals to be able to access their houses. Since that time, the county's paved that road in 2021 or 22, and I'm requesting the commissioners to look at it, to see if they would remove the signs, and the resolution says that it shall expire once the signs are removed. Now that it's been paved, I'd like for all the taxpayers to be able to use the road as a through road to US 1 to Old Dixie Highway. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brantley. We'll pass that on to staff,
I have that in my commissioner comments.
oh,
Or if you want to do it now.
it may get addressed here in a moment, Mr. Brantley.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Commissioner McCall. I have no other public comment cards. County manager business. Mr. Pope, anything additional for the board?
No, sir, not tonight, thank you.
Thank you. County attorney?
I have no further items.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, Commissioner McCullough, we'll let you go first since we're,
Okay, I do. I have a plethora. I met with Mr. Brantley earlier in the week. I know that several of, I believe, when I looked at the email, it was addressed to all five of us, but I spoke with Mr. Pope about this issue with the road being paved now, and I would like us to look at how we would go about removing those signs. I know it takes an act of 3 to have this done, and so if it would be the pleasure of 2 other commissioners, I would like to proceed forward with opening that access, because when you drive this road, it is really weird. It's not a dirt road anymore. It's now a hard road to pass through on our side of the county. And if you haven't drove it, I don't know if you were able to look at it on the map on the email, but it does make sense to me, someone who drives that area regularly, that it be back opened up.
Mr. Chairman,
yes, Mr. Martin.
did I skip over somebody?
No, go ahead.
Commissioner McCullough, if you're looking for consensus to direct staff to look into this.
Yes.
And come back to us.
Yes,
then-
sir.
Then I agree with you. I wouldn't be willing to vote on it tonight.
Correct.
but
No,
yeah,
no.
the-
No.
the Direction for them to look into it and get back to us. So
Okay,
that
great.
would be-
Okay. But we'll let her finish her comments. Okay. Specific to that.
Okay, and then the next one is, several of the people had came up and they were talking about the planning and zoning appointees. I just want to address something from more than 2 years ago. When I was elected, I had 0 applicants for District 4 for planning and zoning from my board. I sought out the direction of neighborhoods. I had one Ms. Franklin, she subsequently moved, and then we opened up the position. But it's 2025, it's been almost 3 years of serving the seat. I've had one resident from District 4, and I'm very grateful that she has willingly served. The Planning and Zoning is not a light board that I think people don't realize their time commitment, the amount of work that they volunteer and give to the community. And so I tell people all the time, whether it be my seat, Planning and Zoning seat, if you can do it better, you're welcome to apply, you're welcome to run. The seat is always open. And so to the District 4, to people who come up to this podium and complain about the Planning and Zoning or the board members, put in your application. Let's see how you will hold up and look at the time commitments versus that. Because I know in District 4, I've had one applicant, and I just wanted to put that on the record. The next is the Timber to Tide overlay. This was a transmittal hearing this evening, but it has been an undertaking by staff. I'm thinking the amount of hours we alone as commissioners have spent in the one-on-one. So as you look at this, I support the vision laid out in the Timber to Tide overlays. It offers thoughtful framework, and a lot of the residents had comments on density, but when you look at a 200 corridor and you look at the whole vision of Nassau County, you purposely want to condense that density on a 200 corridor because it makes the most sense. But in the opposite, when we're looking at the comp plan, when we're looking at that 2030 vision, and we're looking at how we address that, where we're putting the density, then when we look at those neighborhoods outlined on the west side in the coding, it cannot be a one-size-fits-all. And I think as we look into those west side and we're looking at those neighborhoods and the standards of development on the west side, we really have to take into account how do we shape two very 3, 4, 5 different diverse county restrictions, and how do we move forward to appease all lifestyles in Nassau County. So I always encourage residents, the way your voice is heard truly is to interact with us, interact with the public. But right now you have the opportunity of a lifetime with visioning and comp plan moving forward. So I encourage the residents to just stay involved and stay adamant about what you want your county to look like. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner McCullough. Commissioner Gray.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So for consensus for staff to review the opening of Dial Roadway for usage for all taxpayers to use vehicle traffic, I'm in favor of. So now, especially since the roadway's improved roadway, it's no longer a dirt road. And tomorrow night, Take Stock in Children is going to be held at the graduation and induction ceremony tomorrow night at Yulee High School. It begins at 6 p.m. If anybody would like to come out and join that. I usually try to make that every year. So it's a great program here in Nassau County. Take Stock in Children, 6 p.m. tomorrow night, Yulee High School, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Mr. Farmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This past Wednesday, May the 7th, we had the ribbon cutting over Station 10 on Edwards Road. That was an exciting day. It's an 8,500 square foot new state-of-the-art fire facility. So for the public that hasn't been by to check it out, pull in there and tell the captain there or one of the firemen, hey, I'm a member of this community. I just wanted to see what this fire station looks like. I mean, you may end up having to go by there with your loved one at some point. So we want you to know where it is. Just don't block us from going and coming. If all you guys go, don't go at once. Let's see, we've got this Wednesday, the Friends of Fernandina Beach Library is having a book swap, May the 14th from 10 to 11:30 a.m. If you want to bring 5 books to trade, they'll give them 5, they give you 5. That's a pretty good deal down at 25 North 4th Street. So for those that like to read, if you got some extra books laying around and you want some new reading material, it's a good opportunity to swap out your old books. This Friday, May the 16th, let's see. That's this Friday. Parks and Recreation is going to show The Little Mermaid out at Peters Point Beachfront Park, which is a free movie night with 6 local food trucks going to be there. So it goes from 4 to 10 p.m. If the weather's good and permits, go take your family out there and see what Jay Robertson's been doing for us at the Parks and Recreation Department. It takes a lot of work, and it's a heck of a way to give back to the community, in my opinion. Also, next Thursday, May 22nd, is the Ducks Unlimited Banquet out at Cottonwood Ranch on my side of town. They've been in business since 1937, and they have put 19 million acres of land into conservation through wetlands conservation, or similar properties to benefit waterfowl, other wildlife and people. If you're interested in coming out to that banquet, it starts at 6. Look me up, give me a call, and I'll put you in touch with the guy that's in charge of that. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Mr. Farmer. Mr. Martin?
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback a little bit on one of the topics Commissioner McCullough brought up about membership on our various boards, and specifically was the Planning and Zoning Board. I think it was very inappropriate for one of the folks that came to the podium to, and I caught it, because I know all these people are on the Planning and Zoning Board, and I thought it was very inappropriate to make a comment regarding their employment and what they do to make a living in the real world, because most of our boards get no pay, and there are a couple of our boards get little to no pay to do what they do, and then to put up with, this is what we do, we get elected, and it's okay, you want to throw darts at me, throw darts at me, all right, that's okay, I'm a big boy, I can take it, but, throwing darts at folks that basically are doing a volunteer service for the county, and to make a comment about, well, I hope they're not going to ever in the future benefit from timber to ties because of where they work, and then list what the various places where they work. I thought that was highly inappropriate. Okay, on a much more pleasant note, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there that recently celebrated Mother's Day. Turtle nesting season has started. Who's a turtle expert here? I should be, because, I was such the focus of turtle criticism in my year as chair. But when does turtle season end? October, I don't know the date. It goes through October. So if you're on our beaches, especially, anytime, but especially at night, please don't use your phone as a flashlight. Don't flash the turtles. They're nesting, and we want them to make it to the water. We don't want them to go wherever your light may be directing them to go. And if you live along the water, please, we have a turtle lighting ordinance, please abide by it. Contrary to what some folks in a neighboring county think, we got a really good turtle ordinance. By the time we come back here, my wife will have celebrated another trip around the sun, so happy birthday to my wife, Donna. And when I get home, I am going to turn the NBA playoffs on and go Celtics. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Is that basketball?
That would be basketball. Okay. Yes, sir.
Yay, sports. Shrimp Fest. Great time. This is the first meeting I think we've had since Shrimp Fest. But I want to mention something about politics and toxicity and people, talking maybe when they don't know something. I have proudly took my son in the parade with me this year. My Air Force pilot, active duty son, who was on one side of my car and I was walking on the other. And as we went up Center Street, somebody yelled, "You suck," at him. And I got to tell you, that's really disappointing. One, because he's not me. He may look just like me, but he's actually an active duty Air Force pilot. So thanks for that to the woman that yelled that. Bless her heart. And I expect us to do better in Fernandina. Second, ribbon cutting Station 10 was an absolute pleasure. Chief and his folks have a great place running up online. And my first ribbon cutting, I was honored to be. Those scissors are that's intense. Gotta be careful, you could lose all 4 fingers if you're a musician. It's incredibly intimidating.
It's like a sport.
And lastly, on membership boards, I appreciate the public engagement and the well-presented comments tonight. On one comment, I read that it was Mr. Bonavina serves on the Affordable Housing Advisory Board. How can he do that if he builds affordable housing? Well, if you look at the state requirements for membership on the Affordable Housing Committee, it says a developer involved in developing affordable housing. So he's on the board by state position in a volunteer status. So that's how that happens. That's the step beyond what we're talking about on PZB, but these are state required and recommended boards. So there's not a lot of there's no nefarious behind the scenes stuff going on here. It's all above board in the public all the time. And I have no further comments. See you at the next meeting. Thank you all.
I should have invited Matthew Goose.